Husband, 33M, said he would kill me, 33F, if I cheated on him. Do I need to run? My husband has told me multiple times, if you ever cheat on me I'd kill him, kill you, then kill myself. He seemed serious but calm at the time, just like he was stating a fact. When I brought it up later he said it was a joke, but it wasn't said jokingly. I saw it more as a manipulation tactic than an actual threat. He's also mentioned things like how if he didn't have me, he'd have no reason to live, and that he wanted to KHS before we met and then he didn't because he met me. My question is, for those of you who have experienced similar, did it escalate? Edit. Obviously I don't plan on cheating on him, but I'm wondering how concerning these sorts of comments are in a marriage. Edit 2. I've put additional context in one of the comments but I'm going to put it here too for new commenters etc. Yes, his comment like this was concerning at the time he first made it, but I didn't really take it seriously. Since then I've heard it so many times that it doesn't bother me anymore. Recently there's been a bit of a development and now I'm questioning everything, trying to work out if the man I thought I married was real. So, buckle up, this one's going to be a long one. I've left some of the finer details out for the sake of trying to streamline this, but let me know if anything is unclear in the comments. When I first met my husband, on Hinge, at the end of April 2022, he was super insecure and controlling. About 4 weeks into the relationship, he discovered, by going through my phone, that I'd had a thing with someone like 2 weeks before I met him, and accused me of cheating on him. I'd stopped seeing the other guy, let's call him K, as soon as I'd met my husband in person, because I knew it was something I wanted to pursue. But at the same time I was telling husband I wasn't ready for a relationship, that we needed to take things slowly, that I wasn't his girlfriend. Apparently this didn't matter because when he found out I'd cheated, he flipped out, threatened to kill himself, threatened me with violence, I should be kicking your teeth in, and overall made my life a misery. I was scared to go to sleep because I worried that he would hurt himself while I was asleep, or go through my phone and find things from before I met him to start worrying about. If he did, I'd get woken up asking who I'd sent this or that picture to, like a month or two before he and I even started talking. I was told it was gross and that I needed to cut every guy in my life off. I did what he asked because I loved him, and because I was scared if I broke it off that he would do something really rash. 6 months later, I was tired of having my location tracked everywhere I went. I was tired of him leaning on me for emotional support, so I tried to break things off. He sat there and cried and told me he would change and he wouldn't be the same person again. I asked him to leave the house, and he said he would go sleep in his car. His brother lives a 5-minute drive from us. I said I wasn't going to let him sleep in his car, so I let him stay in the house on the couch on the understanding that he would not come into the bedroom. I woke up at 2 a.m. or so with him standing over me, telling me he was looking for something I'd already given him. I suspect he wanted to look through my phone again. I came home from work the next day to find a list of homeless shelters on a piece of paper beside his bed. I figured that I was supposed to see this and feel bad for him. The next day he promised to change, so I gave him a chance to make things right. He promised me he would be the man I deserved, treat me like a princess, etc., etc. Everything's been mostly good since then. He seemed perfect. I thought I'd found my soulmate. Except for one night about a month ago when I was using his phone and I needed to go back in his browser history to find something. I found a load of links to male escort listings on Loconto, and then a load of gay porn. He'd searched specifically for like, young hot cock, and cute young guy jerking off. When I asked him about it, at first he pretended he had no idea what I was talking about. He then said, I don't even know what that was for, and then he told me that he was scared because his DCK was unresponsive, that he was trying to handle himself to pics, videos of me, us, and it wouldn't get hard. He then said he freaked out and that was his reaction, to see if it did anything. He said he started with the listings and then went to porn, had a flick through, and then closed it when it didn't do anything for him. I said I didn't understand, because we had made love the day before and it seemed to work fine then, and that he had a doctor's appointment the next day so he could have asked about it then. I asked him if he had tried gay porn before and he said yes, when he was much younger, and that it didn't do anything for him. I said I was struggling to understand how he would turn to this suddenly if he's never been interested before. He ended up getting really defensive and screaming at me that he was freaking out, and, I can't believe you think I'm gay. I said it was no problem if he was bi or bi-curious. I'm bi,
but that the escort listings were a massive concern to me, and he knew how I would have felt about it. I ended up speaking to someone close to him about it, and then it came out of the bag that something he'd told me at the start of our relationship was a complete fabrication. He'd told me that the car accident he was in when he was 18/19 was a suicide attempt. Turns out this was a lie, and that there was someone else in the car with him. I told him I didn't understand why he would lie about that, and he was super evasive and defensive.
At the same time, I questioned him about a few other things that had been weird throughout our relationship, and it turned out that they were all lies too. Throughout our relationship, he's told me how much he values our openness and honesty and how he could never lie to me, even if it was a white lie.
I told him that all of these things being untrue was extra concerning considering he was always so vocal about the importance of honesty and trust with your partner. I told him that I was struggling to trust him at this point and asked him if there was anything else he had lied to me about or hidden from me throughout our relationship, told him it was a lie amnesty, and that I just wanted everything else out on the table so we could go ahead with a clean slate and a bit of therapy. This whole time he was being super evasive and was telling me that there was nothing else he'd ever hidden or lied to me about, that he was going to be completely honest from now on and that I knew everything now. I still didn't believe him, so he offered me his phone and Google account and told me to put my mind at rest. Turns out he didn't clean up as well as he had thought, because I discovered, no, it wasn't the only time he'd looked at escort listings since we've been together.
A few months prior, he'd Google searched his ex, then searched for her name and nudes, and then immediately watched porn and jerked off. The day after my birthday last year, he had been searching for booty call apps. Right before we met, when I was the gross one for flirting with a guy, that he'd been signing up to no less than 15 hookup apps, with names like SexFinder, and Aussie MILFs, and One Night Friend. He'd signed up to My Transgender Date the night before we met in person, after talking for a week and telling me he was smitten with me and couldn't wait to meet me. 4 weeks before we met, he was swapping pics with men on FetLife and talking about what he wanted to do to them, whilst telling them he likes trans, femboy stuff. Also liking a lot of pre-op MTF pics on the same site. He'd had some sort of contact with an escort previously, her email address was in his contacts, but couldn't tell me when or what for. That even though he told me repeatedly how he didn't see the appeal of OnlyFans, sex workers, that he was still searching them more than he ever admitted to watching porn. He later admitted that he didn't realize that Google still saves your searches even if you clear your browser history. I tried to understand why he had done these things, whilst also feeling like the person he'd always portrayed himself as was a complete fabrication. When I asked him about searching for nudes of his ex, he immediately flew into a rage, no build-up, just straight to 10 out of 10 fury. He screamed at me that he would never ever do that he would admit to anything else but not that. He completely lost his mind. I've never seen anyone react in that way before. Everything else he said he just didn't remember. A few days later, I asked him to go stay with family for a bit, so we could clear our heads. A few days later, I decided that I couldn't ever get over the betrayal that I'd felt, that I felt like I'd married a lie, and that more importantly, the trust was gone. About a week later he told me he wanted to come home so he could return to work. His family lived 2 hours away. I told him he could stay in the house as long as he respected that we were still separated, and that I didn't want him coming home and pretending like everything was back on track. He said he totally understood. So far it's not been like that, and he talks about when we do stuff and talking about how much he loves me, and it's kinda sent me back in time 2 weeks. I don't know how I feel and I don't know what to do. He's since admitted to everything, even though he said he would never do some of those things, and his reasons just don't gel. He's also admitted he's got a problem with lying and that he doesn't know why he does it. I told him that I hate that I even felt like I needed to second-guess him, and that I do not want to be the kind of wife who looks through her husband's phone. Part of me is hopeful that with enough counseling, we can make this work, but the rest of me fears that now the trust is gone, the relationship is done. Maybe I just don't love or respect myself enough to see how fucked this really is. Maybe I'm gaslighting myself. Too long did not read. Husband said he would kill me if I cheated on him, multiple times. I didn't take it seriously, but I've since discovered he's been looking at male escort listings, searching for his ex's nudes, and compulsively lying. Using my anonymous. My ex was this way. Said those words to me over and over again year after year until they almost felt like it didn't mean anything. Then one day, he was having an episode and we were arguing and he walked off, and came back with a loaded gun. Thought I was going to die that day. Instead, he just stared at me, then took it and locked himself in the bathroom.
Switched from me thinking I was going to die to trying to stop him from shooting himself. Long story short, it can absolutely escalate and you'll never know when. Leave, and never stay around anyone who would say or even vaguely infer anything like that.
Yes, in my opinion you should run. A man who would kill you for cheating would kill you for other things like thinking that you cheated, while you didn't. You may be 1000% sure you will never cheat on him, but you can't be forever 100% certain he won't ever think that you did. Especially since his threat reads as violent and scary, and what I have learned is scary violent men are also often controlling men, who are also overly jealous.
And see stuff like, having a male friend, or, normal socializing with a man, or, I wore a short skirt and someone catcalled me, as disloyalty.
You know, because they are controlling?
So you are in danger pretty much all the time. This means he would kill you if he thinks you cheated on him.
He has violent fantasies specifically directed at you and his mental health is hanging by a thread.
You don't want to be there when it breaks.
He may have no intention of letting you live a life without him. You must plan your exit very carefully.
Move as far away as you can.
Never meet him in person again. Edit. OMG the edits.
You need to call a domestic abuse hotline yesterday. You are in imminent danger. Even if he isn't 100% serious about saying that, and in the moment he wouldn't do any of those things.
It's still a very fucked up thing to say and not something anyone should ever gamble with. Of course now if you confronted them about the thing they said and you expressed how concerned or how awful it was, he may back down from that opinion and say, of course I wouldn't, actually, do that. But how could you ever trust that?
It does sound a bit like he's establishing an excuse for future violence.
It would be very easy to claim you'd cheated on him to justify him hurting you if you were no longer around to prove that's a lie.
Anyone who talks about why they'd kill their partner, especially repeatedly, is telling you who they are. Dangerous. I would absolutely run.
Normal, safe people don't fantasize about killing others, for any reason. He's not joking. There's something seriously wrong with him that he clearly hid from you until you were married.
Yes, you need to consider leaving. You have to make a plan, use your resources, and get out.
Maybe not immediately, but start putting money away. Know where your documents, SS card, birth cert, passport, etc., are. Reach out to DV organizations so that when you actually have to, you can leave easily. 22F. Always make my boyfriend, 21M, feel stupid. How can I stop? My boyfriend and I have been together for about a little over 5 years and he recently revealed to me that I always make him feel stupid. Before you make assumptions, yes, I realize I am an asshole. One thing that has always been a pet peeve of mine is being asked questions that the other person obviously knows the answer to. No, this is not an excuse to me to be rude to my boyfriend, but sometimes I can't help it.
For example, me. Can you hand me the Coke in the fridge PLS? BF. Sees that there is only one Coke in the fridge, this one? Me. Blank stare. BF. Feels stupid.
Another example.
Me. Ooh, let's watch our show together.
Exclamation mark quote dot.
BF. Which show?
Breaking Bad?
Me. Bro, what other show have we ever watched together? Blank stare. BF. Feels stupid.
Last example.
Me. Make sure to put those jars in the fridge when you're done so it doesn't spoil. BF. Only puts the one he was using into the fridge.
Me. Comes back later on. Why did you leave the rest of them out?
BF. I put the one I opened into the fridge like you told me to. Me.
Why would I ask you to only put one in the fridge when you clearly see there are several? Question mark quote dot.
BF. Feeling stupid. Oh. I thought I only had to put the opened one in the fridge.
I could go on and on about similar situations, but they usually have the same result of me feeling annoyed with a blank stare and him feeling stupid. A lot of times I maintain the blank stare in order from saying anything mean to him, but I realize that this probably made him feel worse. What can I do to stop this? How can I keep from letting this tiny inconvenience trigger me? How could I stop making him feel stupid, and what can I do when I feel the annoyance emerging in my head?
Did your boyfriend grow up in an environment where he was punished harshly for making mistakes?
It could be that he is subconsciously seeking to avoid making mistakes by seeking clarification even on simple tasks or following instructions too literally. My grandpa does the same thing, and it drives Grandma crazy, even though she knows the root cause of it.
Could be that, or it could be that he's just not the brightest crayon in the box lol.
Maybe your boyfriend has anxiety, so he has to double-check everything you say?
And you could be giving him more anxiety.
Though, the last part, what were the jars of?
Because some food jars don't need to go into the fridge unless opened,
so maybe you were the dumb one here? Before you make assumptions, yes, I realize I am an asshole.
Actually, the assumption I made was that your boyfriend was stupid. Would you stare down a manager or boss at work for asking a stupid question? Would you question them and belittle them if they made a small error?
Probably not, right? So why is it so difficult to extend that grace to your boyfriend and just say, yes, or, no? You can have a conversation about his little meaningless question at a different time, and how it's a habit of his that gets on your nerves and you'd like him to consider being more mindful of.
And you can tell him you'll be more mindful of not responding rudely when he does make the occasional pointless question.
I'ma be an advocate and say as a girlfriend I am on the other end.
I'm in your BFS position.
My boyfriend is always saying stuff, or I'll ask a question and his response is, I don't feel like explaining it, because I don't get something. It's hard, and sometimes I don't realize I'm asking a stupid question.
Now the jar thing I can't explain.
But the others I get. Maybe he's ADHD? Girl, you are not the one making your boyfriend feel stupid. Your boyfriend is making himself feel stupid because he straight up is LMFAO. 29F. Just got dumped by my boyfriend, 34M.
Third breakup in 18 months.
What is wrong with me? I just got dumped by my boyfriend. We had not been together for a long time, about 3 months, but I was really super clear to him from the moment we met what I wanted and what I was looking for a life partner.
He seemed enthusiastic about it, and was keen to engage in fairly serious discussions with me. Finances, future plans, where we want to live, when we want to move in together, etc.
There were a few instances when we butted heads, but overall everything was going really well. I stayed over at his place for 5 days, at his invitation, this week, and the day that I left, Thursday night, he still messaged me saying how he misses me, that the flat feels empty without me, and that he was hoping I would surprise him and stay one more night. We talked on Friday like normal, and then today, Saturday, he called me to tell me that he wanted to end things between us.
I'm really confused and blindsided.
This is not the first time something like this has happened to me, and I'm wondering what I'm doing wrong.
I've been looking for a serious relationship literally since I first started dating. I've never been one to enjoy the dating process or flings.
Despite several longer-term relationships, 2-3 years, I still don't have my forever person at age 29.
So clearly I must be doing something wrong. I'm ADHD and autistic, so I'm wondering if that plays a role, too. I'm really straightforward and undiplomatic, clumsy with my words sometimes.
The way that I phrase things can be harsh, even though I don't mean it that way.
I'm really loving and soft on the inside, and I get attached to people really quickly and just want them to be happy. I just seem to be running a lot into guys who are not ready for commitment. Maybe just with me? I can't handle the, it's not you, it's me discourse. Clearly there's something wrong with me, I just don't know what.
Just because you are looking for your forever person doesn't mean anyone you date will be right.
He did you a favor by not wasting your time. Keep looking.
Don't give up.
Look on the bright side. You've been in 3 relationships in 18 months, which is more than many can say. Everyone has flaws, and dating is tough these days. You're putting yourself out there, and that's the best you can do. Why do you assume there is something wrong with you? You just haven't met the right person yet. Has every relationship in the past 18 months been the one? Well, there's not enough info to explain why your boyfriend abruptly ended things after seeming like everything was fine. You would have to ask him. It sounds like you think you may have inadvertently said something to offend him. But he's the only one who can tell you that. If you contact him to ask, make sure to phrase it that you want to know so that you don't offend other people the same way in the future. Otherwise he will think you're trying to get him back.
That said, I think you should avoid mentioning your interest in a lifelong partner early on in your relationships.
For most people, the feelings that lead to marriage develop slowly. It's only in movies and novels that it happens quickly.
So if you start out discussing lifelong plans from the get-go, people may feel rushed or scared.
Your picker is broken. Mine was too.
Went celibate for 3 years to work on myself.
Found a great guy. Going on 2 years.
My husband is kind and generous to everyone else but so mean and stingy with me. Who to do?
40M 40F. Together 19 years, married 10.
My husband is so polite, kind, and generous to others including his parents, his aunt and uncles, and strangers. It's one of his best qualities. However, he is so mean to me and often raises his voice and loses his patience with me and our child.
I'm far from perfect, and recent brain scans shows that I have some lesions in my brain. Non-life-threatening but sometimes forgetful.
He often gets frustrated with me and calls me bird brain or good fish. He gets frustrated and yells, "What's wrong with you?" when I do things wrong. We are not as affectionate as we used to, busy with work and child. But it's getting harder and harder for me to understand why we are still together. What's the point of all this? I'm sad all the time and often dream of being alone so I can have peace. Life is so hard as is why be so sad and feel like crap about myself all the time and having someone reminding you constantly all of your flaws.
For example, I injured arm a week ago and I asked him to give our dog a bath. He got mad at me for asking him more than once. Another example is he has a small business and lays his staff, all family members, generous salaries, above market, including an uncle who barely do any work, but he pays the uncle due to fear his uncle will complain.
Uncle is loaded, by the way. Then he makes me pay for dinner because he doesn't have enough money left to pay his bills.
Yes, he has yelled at me before if I didn't pay for dinner.
We keep our finances separate, by the way.
I'm about to go on and on with too many stories. Another example is I like listening to country music and he listens to Korean rap.
Every time he catches me listening to country music he has to comment that the genre is for right-wing politics. He has to make me feel like I'm doing something wrong listening to my music. Every single time he'll make a nasty comment.
I don't like his music either, but I don't talk smack about it.
Sorry for the rant, but it feels good to get it off my chest. Anyone else had similar experiences? What did you do? He's nice to everyone but you? Time to hit pause and reassess. You deserve kindness and respect, not just crumbs left after everyone else.
Consider counseling or a serious heart-to-heart. You're worth more than being his verbal punching bag.
That's exactly how abusers are. They are kind to everyone except you. So when you speak out about it, no one believes you. He's actually not kind or generous. He just wants to appear that he is and doesn't feel the need to act that way towards you because he's already got you on the hook. Just Google, malignant narcissist, and especially for your situation, covert narcissist. Skip the marriage counseling and Google, divorce attorneys in my area. Get alimony and get out of this abusive living situation. You're not living. Escape while you can. P.S. Your lawyer will hire a forensic accountant. It's highly probable the inflated salaries are a way to hide money from you. I'm certain some of the dollar to the uncle comes back to your husband in some way. You're worse than an unpaid babysitter and bangmaid. You're paying for the privilege of being used. Run. With what you said, it sounds like he has no respect for you at all. Honestly, zero respect for you. Yes, get some counseling and figure out why you allow yourself to be treated this way, but then drive to a divorce lawyer. I'm sorry, I wouldn't put up with it. Your kid will see how you're treated and could possibly learn from him how to treat people.